Obstacle Dominator Nation, Brakken Crocker here. Before we get into the full episode here, I want to take a minute to go over something that I feel is going to be useful to a good portion of our audience here, and that is the Obstacle Dominator training plan. So this training guide is basically the premise of training that Benny and I both use in our daily training, and it is the principles, the core principles used by successful endurance athletes over the last 100 years. This is tried and true endurance principles combined with our OCR knowledge to give you the nuts and bolts for what you need to do to train for OCR. Now, this is not a personalized coaching plan. This is not a hold your hand and get you through. This is for the athlete who already has aptitude for the sport or already has a little bit of knowledge base with how they want to train or what their schedule is or how they want to control what they do. This is for someone who wants to know what type of workout should I be running, what kind of progression should I keep throughout the year, but I want to do it on my own terms. I want to be my own coach. I want a training guide to follow and to incorporate into my daily life. And if that's what you're looking for, this is what we have for you. So go on to obstacledominator.com, take a look at it. It's incredibly affordable for what you're getting out of this. This is a season-long plan if you want it. If you only want off-season, if you only want preseason, if you only want competition season, if you only want championship prep season, it's worth it for that alone. But if you're looking for something that can take you from January through December, this is a really good training guide to get you into doing what you should be doing and progressing appropriately throughout the year. So, of course, you can always reach out to Benny or myself throughout this, but go on and check it out and let us know what you think. Good luck, guys, and enjoy the podcast.
Welcome to the ObstacleDominator.com podcast featuring Benny Gifford and Brakken Crocker. Whether you want to dominate your next obstacle race or just get started in obstacle racing, you're about to discover every tactic you need to know, from gear to training to nutrition. Get the latest tips from the trenches, get your questions answered, and show up at your next obstacle race ready to dominate. And now, here's Benny and Brakken.
We're live here, Obstacle Dominator, brought to you exclusively by Artistic Organics. Kirk, how do you feel about Artistic Organics bringing us live today?
Is this CBD oil?
This is CBD oil.
I feel fantastic about it, Brakken. It's the best CBD oil I've ever heard of.
Good. Now, Kirk's fully on board. Benny's obviously fully on board, and I'm awaiting my sample pack so that I can fully get on board the artisticorganic.com CBD oil train. Kirk, I'm glad you came on today because we don't have Benny. So I needed someone that could fully pick up the weight of the personality that Benny and the gravitas that Benny brings to this podcast. So thank you.
Okay. I'm your guy, I guess. I'm your guy.
You're my go-to. And second of all, we get to talk about something that's near and dear to our hearts today, which is training.
Yeah, we do it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just telling you before we started to record that these podcasts these days are becoming trash. People basically just trash talk. They like to bitch about what the rule changes have been and all the stuff going on. We need podcasts with some good content out there, don't you think?
Obstacle course racing, not like obstacle course TMZ.
Yes, which they've all become somehow, which is entertaining. I still listen, don't get me wrong. But
so who do you blame for this trend? I blame Mappy Davis. I blame Hunter, and I blame Ryan Woods. And the just ignorant masses of our society. Who else do you blame?
just offending everybody. I would say, you know what? We've had I feel like everybody's been interviewed numbers of times. So we've all been there, done that. We've heard, how do you train, Ryan Woods? And he's done that how many times? So then you go to the next step, which is just making fun of each other and talking about nothing with those people. That's the natural progression. So I think it's just because it's saturated. We've all been interviewed. And so now it's just more banter. That's my take. When I first got into this sport,
every athlete in the sport, everyone knows everybody.
Yeah, I think it's actually a pretty small circle. And so we're just running out of people. So then we come up with other things to talk about than training.
Filled with jerks.
Yes. So the order of that wording was could have been interesting.
I'll leave it there. So Benny's in Mexico.
Yeah.
Fixing up some that, he had talked about, he did this massive dental work and some of it just didn't take. I didn't know it was like gardening, where like things you plant in the ground don't always bloom, but it didn't bloom. Some of the seeds died. So Benny's back down in Mexico right now getting his mouth fixed. So it's you and I, and we're going to get rid of the fluff. We're just
okay.
We're going to talk training, because you and I talk training as much as I talk with anyone. And I guess before we get started, I want to know, like, are we special? Like, do we have something, or do you have like standing phone calls with like 10 or 15 other people in the sport where you're just like, Brakken's calling again, but I'll get back to the real conversations after this?
You're just one in my harem, Brakken. I'm kidding. You
have a blue check mark. So
I got a blue check mark. Yes. I did absolutely nothing to deserve that. No, you're actually, because I don't know, I guess the listeners probably don't all know this, but when I got into sport in 2016, I didn't know what I was really doing, and I hired you as my coach. And you were a great coach for me. I learned so much in that amount of time. Like, I knew how to run and train for flat, races, but I had no idea beyond that. So you've always been my go-to. I don't actually chat training really in this sense, basically, because I coach myself, like, and I coach others. Like, I'm giving them the advice, but you're the only guy I bounce stuff off of, and you're the one guy I will take advice from, actually.
Now, if I had to guess, I would say that like you follow the 80-20 training plan of how much you listen to me and how much you throw out the window.
Wait, which part? What's the 80 and what's the 20?
I feel like 20% of what we talk about in terms of like rest or recovery or backing off is like sticks. And 80% you're like, yeah, I know, but I think I can ride the line a little further.
Hey, that 20% can make all the difference, Brakken.
That's right. I'll take 20%. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really give you a whole lot of advice, I would say. So you're not doing 20% of what I talk to you about. So I'm doing more of what you suggest than you are of what I probably.
I'm not sure. I feel like we kind of use each other as like a sounding board. We're like the mirror of each other where, I write my own training, you write your own training, but we as competitive people tend to get locked in our own little like tunnel vision. And sometimes I just need to call Kirk up and say,
we've had some good chats recently, especially because you've been a little nicked up. Like, we've had some good chats about what you should do. And
I'm entering your world.
Huh?
I'm entering your world. Like,
oh God, I wish you weren't, but you are. You've got one little thing after another.
Yeah, if you enter the canyon of like getting a little dinged up, you want Kirk Dewindt to guide you out the other side, because
I've been dinged up my whole damn life. So
you know every step of that canyon.
I sure do.
All right, so I don't think that I'm unique in this. I think that anyone in any sport that has any amount of visibility or has somehow tricked people into thinking that they have some amount of knowledge about the sport, they get messages. And it's usually not like, hey, philosophically, what should we do? It's always, what workout should I do right now? What is the best workout I can do because I need to run a PR in a 5K on Saturday, or Killington's in 1 week? What should I do this weekend so that I'm ready to dominate that course? Or right now, the message is, hey, Tahoe's 3 weeks away. What workout? If you had one workout I should do, what would it be? And usually it would be the workout where you invent a time machine. Go back like 6 months.
Go back.
Do all the workouts we talked about. But I thought it would be fun if you and I just do what we normally do and talk about actual workouts and give some like real nuts and bolts, like actionable intel on workouts.
Give away all the secrets.
Yeah, but just like one workout at a time. Because as you and I both know, like, the workout doesn't make the athlete.
Yep.
But it can make sometimes that difference between performing and not performing, or feeling like you're ready to perform, which is in our sport just as big as actually being able to perform.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you either you come from like a running background, I think, and get into this, or you come from, I don't know, usually some sort of athletic background. And when you're first getting into things, especially, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners are fairly new to the sport, I would assume that's when I listened to the most podcasts, when I was fairly new. I train way different now than I did when I first learned about all of this. And I think that could help some people, I suppose.
Yeah,
so,
I think so.
It's so gracious of us to be doing this, don't you think?
magnanimous
idea from you. We're so giving.
Yeah. So I have a bunch of questions. I've written down my most commonly received questions.
Okay.
And I'd like to just slap a workout to each one of these questions.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter if you and I choose different workouts or not. Like if I give one answer and you give the other, I don't think it matters because I don't think we have like the only answer. Like there's more than one way to skin an OCR cat, obviously. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to provide the knife.
Although we do agree on a lot of things often, I feel like.
Yeah, we do.
So we're going to find out. We kind of have similar backgrounds, but okay, this will be fun. All
right. So the first one that I always get is I'm so good at obstacles. I'm so strong. Heavy carries don't bother me. It's just the running. Everyone runs away from me. I just need to improve my foot speed. And what I always respond to that is your foot speed's fine.
Right.
But you can keep up with Ryan Woods for 100 meters if you wanted to, which means your speed is good enough. So like you don't need to go to the track and run sprints. Everyone wants to hear these sexy sprint workouts, but let's say you actually do need foot speed. Let's say that's a thing.
Okay.
This concept of foot speed that floats around the running community. What is your go-to if you just want to feel faster? Let's say you had a short course race coming up or a fast flat super or something with gradual downhills where you just need to be able to turn those puppies over a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Wait, hold on. Am I this person who's asking you how to get faster?
No, this is your response to them. All right, you need to feel fast or maybe actually be faster. What's your get up and go speed workout so that you actually feel like if I ran a 100 meter, a 400 meter dash last week and next week I do it again, this is my workout, mile, 5K, doesn't matter, 5K run, that's going to improve my foot speed, my real get down speed.
All right. So we're going to ignore the fact that the whole, like, you need to just run more in general. We're just giving you one Band-Aid patch job workout to just
your favorite speed work day.
My favorite speed work day that gets me feeling.
And I think I could answer this for you.
Do you do?
Yeah, I think so. Because I feel like we've had a similar conversation. Like, man, I just need to go to the track and hurt today. I got to run fast. I got to feel that again.
Maybe you can. So I did a workout 3-4 weeks ago, and I don't go much shorter than quarter mile repeats, but I love the cycle of like I did 4x4 by 1600 or by 4x4 by 400 meter repeats. So you do a quarter mile, only 30 seconds rest, quarter mile, 30 seconds, do that. And then at the end of every 4, you take a 3-minute rest to fully reset, recharge, and then stay sharp. So you're really keeping your heart rate really elevated through 4 reps in a row. Allows you to run just fast enough where you can apply it to like endurance performance with that 3-minute sort of set reset in every 4th rep. So I like to go like a quarter mile repeat, short rest a few times, then give myself a bigger rest in between sets. That makes me feel sharp. It always goes well. I always feel good about it. If anything, it's a confidence booster. So that would be, and you could do that with any, you could do 3 800s with 60 seconds rest in between, and then take 4 minutes and then repeat that cycle. Something like that always gets the turnover going. So that would be my go-to, probably 4x4 by 400 meters. That would be it.
And we are actually on the same page here. One of mine at Classic is I either go 11 or 12 by 400. Mine's a little different. I don't do sets and reps on that one. I do it straight through, and I do it 400 fast, 100 float. Now, we've talked about the float concept. Yes. I use the word float differently than most people use the word float because generally when people say like 400 fast, 100 float, the float just means like kind of how it would be on the freeway if you took your foot off the gas for 100 meters, where you're going to decelerate slightly. You're not using the gas, but you're still moving fast. And
right.
You just re-engage cruise control and you go again. That's how the typical float's used, where you're going just with less effort, but you're still moving quickly. I use it as like, I'm just kind of floating along.
As long as you're like in the running motion, you're floating.
Yes. You make attempt to use running motion. And so really mine's 400 on, 100 jog. But like, I'll skip a little bit through it. I'll do some like karaoke run halfway through. It's like, I'm just floating through the motion and getting my body shaking it out for 100 meters.
Yeah. Let your heart rate come down 20 beats a minute, maybe. That's like maybe 30 plus seconds for that 100 meters, right? Like you're slowing it down.
I milk it enough that I'm getting like 48 to 55 seconds.
Okay. So I view float as I've decided I've defined float because I don't know what
I define it wrong. I'm doing it wrong. I should have used the word float.
Well, I'm thinking like float would be, in my opinion, as I use it now, is if you were to go out for like an 8-mile recovery run, let's say I'd run 7:30 pace. I use it as like my recovery run pace would be my float. Is that how it's supposed to be used?
I don't think so. From what I've seen from like track coaches I respect,
okay,
float means you're running like 400 at, let's say, 4:30 pace, float 50 meters at 5:40 pace or 5:20 pace. Like you're barely coming off the gas. So we have an interesting predicament happening here. Well, we're still in the middle of remodeling this house, and we were just painting the hallway down to the basement, and we pulled the door off the hinges. But to stop noise, I leaned the door back up against the frame here, but it's not attached, and I could see Mira, our 2-year-old, coming down the stairs and approaching the door.
Is she peeking through the crack there?
Yeah, but I'm curious what her decision is going to be like. Is she going to try opening the door, and it's either going to tip over or it's going to collapse down on her?
Well, do you want to get up from your computer, or are you more living on the edge here? One broken leg in the house is enough, Brakken.
This is a teachable moment. I want to see how she. Oh, Lisa came down and got her. Okay.
All
right. So anyway, float I think is more like literally take your foot off the gas, but you only decelerate as much as gravity takes you down, and then you're right back on.
That makes sense. All right.
Cross had this workout they did, and I know I was talking to John DeWitt the other day.
Yeah,
another decently tough runner that we both know.
Yeah,
but they did
I've never met him.
Interesting. You guys would get along. They would do these mile simulation workout where they would run like 400 meters at 800 meter pace, and then 50 meter float, and then 200 meters at 400 meter pace, and then 60 meter float. And they'd eventually run like 420 in a mile at the end of this workout. But because you had these like 40 and 80 meter float sections, it would like trick you into recovering, but you're recovering at like 450 or 510 pace.
Right. I don't remember the days that would be recovery. That's been a long time when 5-minute pace was recovery.
Yeah.
A while.
But anyways, we're both on the same page that a great way to turn the legs over a little bit and feel faster and actually become faster is to run 400s.
I think 400s, go to it. And and the nice thing, like I know you're more of a fan of the track, I think, or you use it more than I do.
I don't touch it very often anymore.
Okay, well, and I'm a few times a year, and it's only when like I'm feeling a little slow. And it's when I want, like, that's an objective measure. Like I know there's no other variables, the terrain, like I just need to go and maybe just brush my ego a little bit and know exactly what the outcome is going to be. And like, if you're ever feeling just a little slow, I think that's the perfect way to shock the body.
I agree.
And feel good about it. Yeah.
And what I like about the track, you said it's objective. It is objective, and it's a sterile environment where we've spent enough time doing it that I feel like it magnifies your form imperfections. So like if we're running hard 400s on the trail, which I do more often than track, the variation of the terrain and the style of your running can mask little things because you're running differently. But when I get on a track, any little flaw in my mechanics as I start to fatigue feels really, really glaring because it's obvious. It's like you're just under this light, and it's just like, well, your hamstring or your heel's doing something funky right now.
And you have no excuse for it because the terrain is even, the surface is smooth, and I notice my flaws when I do that too, actually. So yeah, I think that's accurate.
So then I'm going to add one more little cheater in there. If you don't want to ever like dedicate actual speed workouts, because I feel like this is what I run into. We have so many facets of fitness to go over in OCR that I don't want to, that's why I don't go to the track as much. I don't want to dedicate an entire workout and then a recovery day or two to one skill set that we don't need as much as others. So what I do more often than not is I tack speed onto the end of threshold days or climbing days. So I'll finish intervals, or I'll finish a tempo run with like 4x200 hard with 200 meter slow jog recovery is one of my go-tos. 4 to 6x200, where I'll start like the first two feeling really creaky, and then I'll rev it up the next two, and then I'll try to really rip up the last two. And by the end of it,
I was just going to say, when I've done that, the tough is you might compromise a little bit of the top end with it all. Like your splits may be a hair slower if you just went right to it, but it is a good way to kind of get everything in one workout, which I've done before too. I was going to say, it takes like, if you're going to do something like that after like a tempo or a threshold or even climbing effort, you actually need a few reps. Like, don't be like, oh, I'm going to do 2 quick just to like fire myself up. Like, I think it takes more than that, because you got to get back into that sort of, I don't know, mindset and wake your body back up. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. We're the same. We both ran middle distance in the WEAC, and I doubt we ever really ran a 200-meter rep slower than 30 seconds. Like, there wasn't much reason to do that in the type of workouts we were running. And so that's like my de facto mode that I slip into when I get to a track. It's like 200s. All right, I'll try to start out at about 29, 30, and then I'll cut down from there. And I blast off the line, and I'm running down the turn, and I always run turn first and finish down the
me too.
For whatever reason. That's ingrained in me. And I'm like, I'm freaking moving right now, and I'm starting to like hurt a little bit. I'm fast, and I cross in like 33. Oh man, that's 4.4-mile pace.
When I warm up at the track, I will do like a 2-mile steady warm up, and then I'll go in my 3rd mile alternate 200s, hard 200, recovery 200, and I'll clip along for a mile. And I think I am breaking records on those hard 200s, and I'm seeing like 35. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? What has happened? But those still wake your body up, because then I'll go run a pace faster than that for my quarters. It's really weird how it works. They do serve a purpose, and I approve of that.
Yeah. Yeah, those first 2 feel bad. You have to just shake
They always do.
But I found within like 2 or 3 sessions, I can open up at 28.
Yeah.
And then like the first session by the, after, let's say I do a 20-minute tempo, 4x200, the last one, I'm like running hard and I'm struggling to break 30. I'll run like 29.7. And that's like, that was it. Like, it was a notch below racing. But by like a week or 2 later, I'll like run 26 high, 27 low the last rep, and it'll feel the same.
Well, and you're also, I mean, just when you start hitting that, you're improving your running economy. So don't you think like your mechanics work just a little more fluid?
I feel like half of it's mechanics.
It totally is, man. It totally is.
Yeah.
I feel.
Speed, we touched on that.
Yeah. And I would like to touch like that work. Like if you need like to, I don't know, you need to feel fast. And I think that like the workouts, even quarter miles, like it doesn't matter if you have a sprint coming up or a stadium or a beast, like, I don't know, turnover is turnover. Like that can apply before any sort of race you have coming up. I would decrease the volume, but like I don't think it's, race specific. I think you can cover the gamut between a 4 and 12-mile race. Do you agree?
I agree. And I think that one thing a lot of people struggle with in this sport is the first 400 to 700 meters of a race, maybe even all the way up to 800 and somewhere. The races just get out hot, and half of it is that we have to, because if things bottleneck or you hit over under through or something, if you your own race, suddenly you're 40 meters behind, and then you come out of that 30 extra meters behind because you're waiting on people. First people get to do it in stride, the next people have to wait for the people to do it in stride, and eventually the 3rd, 4th row of people are just waiting, standing still. So you have to get out fast for that. And then the other half is that people just foolishly do, because somebody feels fast and they get out hard and someone goes with them, but we get out too fast. And I feel like having that ability to turn over and get up and go makes that first 400 a lot easier and more efficient for you, where, I can get out in 70 this first 400 if I have to. And that's not like getting close to my danger zone yet. And I can come back from that now.
Well, and it's as long as your body recognizes that pace, you're good. But if you're never hitting that pace in training and then you're forced to off the start line, you're going to be 3 minutes into that race, and you're going to feel like you're already riding a fine line. So I agree with that. Yep.
You talked about running economy, and that's kind of one of the terms that sounds like mumbo jumbo to a lot of people, but basically it talks about how efficiently you do your work. And I think that's one of the big things about doing some sort of sprint or speed work in your life, is that, like I talked about, day 1, trying to run 29 seconds in a 200 takes all of my muscle fibers to go do that. And by day 20, I can run 2 or 3 seconds faster. And it feels like I'm using the same muscle fibers as when I'm running 5K pace. Like I'm not powering with my hamstrings and quads anymore. I'm just running a stride rather than fighting and sprinting. And that's a big part of that first 400, If you can get out that first 400 or 600 meters fast using just casual running stride, then you don't have to like set off every fire alarm up and down your legs, and now your body is like instantly in oxygen debt.
Well, there's a term that I use. So have you heard of the term neuromuscular adaptation? Are you familiar?
I've heard of it.
So neuromuscular adaptation, like, and I use this with a lot of my clients because I have a personal training business, is like in the first 6 weeks of a strength program or a running program, like if we're taking aerobic out of it, most of the strength gains are from neuromuscular adaptation, which means like you're actually like your biceps may not be any bigger, but now they know how to properly perform the exercise and they're learning to fire efficiently and more effectively. And so you get stronger without really gaining like any size. Let's put it to strength training, right? And that's only because you become better and more efficient at that movement. So the same thing applies to running economy when it's like, yeah, my body has to get used to firing at this cadence, at this speed, hitting more on the ball of my feet, contracting the hamstrings, harder push-up, everything. And so most of that isn't fitness. It's what you call neuromuscular adaptation. Your body learns to work efficiently with that stride, with that pacing. That's mostly what it's about. That's what we're training. Neuromuscular.
The crazy thing about neuromuscular, maybe not crazy, but the compounding factor is that as you compound movements, it becomes more powerful.
Correct.
So your example of bicep curls, that's pretty singular plane, like one motion.
Yeah.
And now suddenly you add a deadlift or a squat, and even more of your first 6 week gains come from neuromuscular adaptation. And running is very much a compound movement where you have many things in play. And so I think there's even more space for people to improve with when you get more complex movements in it.
Well, think about this. Think when you're running, let's say 30-second pace, are your arms pumping the same as they are if you're running a 7-minute recovery jog? Not even close. The neuromuscular adaptation comes everywhere. Everything has to be in sync, and that's running economy. So like, even if like you're training for like, I will still do quarter mile if I become an ultra marathoner, which my body, bless its heart, will never probably withstand that sort of training. I'll have 12 stress fractures, but I will still keep that in there for just pure efficiency and running economy.
Yeah.
Because of that adaptation. So for whatever that's worth.
My 1 mile running, not 1 mile, my 1 hour racing, which I feel like is what OCR centers around, your ability to crank for 60 to 70 minutes, never feels prettier or more efficient than when I'm also fast.
Exactly.
Now, you can run off pure like aerobic development, but you have to have some speed training just to run crisp and clean. Like you watch the best mile guys and 5K guys in the world, and it does look like they're running 7-minute pace.
Yeah.
There's no thrashing. And I feel like that's what you want to be. Just never fighting, just always just flowing.
And I think there's something to say too, and then I guess we could probably move on, but like something for like perceived exertion, like if just how difficult that speed and effort is, just like the way your brain works and connects it to your pacing. Like, sure, well, I'm going to be running 4-minute mile pace for whether it's a 400 or a 200. Well, sure, my 5:30 pace out of the gates is going to seem comfortable. And that's worth something too. Like it just is.
Yeah, it is. And that's what I love treadmill work for. That I don't love treadmills or treadmill work, but I really enjoy the fact that I can set it to a pace that forces me just to run hard. And later on, when I move out wherever I'm running, it's just not going to be that fast.
Yep.
But I know that push come to shove, I can turn over like that. This just feels a whole lot easier on my body now.
Yep, I agree.
All right, second question that I get the most often is after that first question. That was the biggest one. But this one is, I watch the elites go through and I'm just blown away how they just get right back to running. I lose so much time in and out of obstacles that I didn't or someone took a video of me at a race and I didn't realize, like I thought I slowed down maybe the last step or two into twister, and then I hit the ground, shook out my arms and ran. And I realized I walked the last 20 steps in and walked the first 20 steps out and then jogged for like the next quarter mile. How do I just teach myself to get in and out of obstacles and do that without just blowing up my body? Like, how do I get my recovery and stop just like leaking time everywhere?
Yeah. I think there's a couple of ways to do it. I mean, let's talk, first of all, like you have to be confident in the obstacle you're approaching. Otherwise you're going to sit there and think about and analyze it. So, but let's leave that out of the equation. Okay. Yeah. I think the hardest thing is changing like energy systems. I think in general, Spartans, we'll call them, are really good at running and then maybe doing their strength or ninja work to, offset or complement it. But I think we're really bad at putting them together in the same workouts. Because one, when you combine, plyometric or strength movements with running, it slows your running down. It hurts like hell. And they're really not that fun. But I know we talk about like compromise running or transitional workouts a lot. And I think you have to practice that. So like, even if it's literally as simple as like having a park by your house and running a loop, hitting the monkey bars and going across the monkey bars or hitting 6 pull-ups and then do another loop and just repeat something where your rhythm is broken and you're forced to like just kind of shift gears for a second. I don't think a lot of people work that often enough into their running. And starting with that, whether it's even on a steady run, adding some sort of strength or plyometric movement into it is fine. And then progressing to like structured intervals where you're purposefully like kind of blowing yourself up and then still trying to run hard. That's helped me the most, I would say.
What's up, Obstacle Dominator people? We know you're in the middle of an episode right now. Yes, we know we're wearing different clothing and looking fantastic, might I add. We are interrupting because, like you heard at the beginning, Artistic Organics is the CBD company that is sponsoring Obstacle Dominator. Finally, we're going to bring Brakken on board. I'm just sending him out some samples. His wife, Lisa, has already fallen in love with the pain cream. And I think I'm going to be sending him some of this little guy right here. This is what I personally use from them. It is a sublingual tincture, which is just a fancy way of saying it's an oil you put underneath your tongue. You let it sit as long as you can. I forget it's even there. It might be there for 10 minutes at a time. You absorb even more through your bloodstream there. Anyways, this stuff has taken my sleep and my recovery through the roof. Not to mention, I wasn't taking it for this intentionally, but it was helping with some low-key kind of chronic anxiety that was just in the background that I didn't even notice until I decided to cycle off it and see what I felt like after. So it's been incredible for my recovery and my performance. I take it an hour and a half before bedtime. I take it right before my training session because it'll kick in about an hour and a half later. And you guys can go to artisticorganics.com, enter in OBDOM, OBDOM, some point during your checkout process, and you can enjoy a free pain cream sample on us. I mean, you got to buy something, obviously, but you just put that into the coupon code and you check out. So thank you very much, Artistic Organics. I love you using your products, and Brakken hopefully will soon be jumping on board when I send him a sample.
And it's funny, you always use the word compromised running. Before I heard that, I'd always use transitional running or broken running. But those three terms are interchangeable, and that it's that exact thing. You compromise yourself in your running. Anyone can teach themselves to be a metronome, but once the metronome gets off track, how quickly can it get back on? And that's what our sport's about. And so, this is one of the workouts we talk about a lot. And I think we have one of the same go-tos, and that's the, again, different terminology. I call them OCR 400s. You call them OCR miles.
Yep.
But it's, for me, that is if I need to work transitions, that's the workout I dial up. And I simply do 400 meters of running, and then I do roughly 12 to 30 seconds worth of an exercise, and I do 4 rounds of that. So it comes out to 1 total mile of work, and then I give myself 3-minute recovery jog, or sometimes stumble around walk.
Yeah.
Do it again. And anywhere from 2 rounds if it's like a couple days before a race, or 4 rounds, or sometimes in the past I've backed off and I've done 24 reps of 400 meters, but with very slow pace. But it's the beautiful thing about that workout is that you can get whatever you want out of it.
Yep.
OCR 5Ks if you want it. You could do mile on, minute of something, mile on, minute of something, or you can run 200. Sometimes I do 200s in between when I'm prepping for a stadium. But a structured interval format forces you to know the second this 400 meters done, I'm getting right into jumping lunges or push-ups or bucket shrugs, whatever it's going to be. But I have to have that rep started the moment I stop running. And it teaches me to accelerate through the end of the rep rather than pull up at the end of the rep, drop whatever I'm doing and accelerate out again. And I know I've seen your Instagram videos of you doing it, and it's my go-to.
Yeah. And I think, when you look at that, like it should be like that type of workout, maybe your highest intensity workout of the week, as far as like, if you look at my heart rate data, if you look at like just even perceived effort, like that workout sucks. That workout hurts. Your race will not hurt as much as that workout hurts, because we don't transition that often into hard movements like that. So you kind of overtrain that stimulus so that when you come to something like a monkey bars, well, it didn't blow you up as bad as the workout did, because it's easier, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, during the race. And I think also like those style of workouts, when you're doing short courses, stadium sprints are more important. And they become, not that you need to let them go, but I think they are less important as the race gets longer, because there is more running in between. Not saying you shouldn't do them. I still do them. But like, if you're like a stadium athlete or you're a sprint athlete, like if those aren't like a staple, you're doing yourself a disservice. Do you agree with that?
I do. And it's such a trainable feeling. It's a miserable feeling. Like you said, that's my worst feeling, workout. And I do the same as you, where I make them my hardest running of the week when I do it, because I feel like you get more bang for your buck that way. Yeah, you can do it as a temp. Sometimes I do OCR tempos, 5 to 10 running, go into some high intensity strength and then get back to that. But it allows you to ease off the gas. Whereas this one, if you know you have to run hard for only 400 meters in between each rep, you attack in and you attack out. And it just makes it nasty. But yes, it does hurt, and it should be done fast. And this is one of mine I really like to do, is my last workout before a race. So like Tuesday before a Saturday race, I'll hit this one hard, but maybe only for 3 rounds. I'll back off a round, but I'll still hit it hard enough that each rep hurts. And it has me thinking, maybe I shouldn't do this on race week. And then I take extended rest in between the reps, and I cut the total reps down a little bit. Or sometimes I'll do 3 rounds of only 3 400s per round instead of 4, so that it's totally out of my system. But it just, and you and I talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
You feel like you get to race week or race day, and not one section of it hurts more than that workout. And it just makes it more manageable. If you expect a 10 out of 10, a 9.5 out of 10 feels like a treat.
Right. No, it's true. And we talked about too, kind of doing it. I like doing it race week too, because it's like a built-in taper, because it kind of like, race week can be weird when you taper, but if you hit like a little bit of strength moves with your running early in the week, you might be a little stiff and just a little sore and beat up from that Tuesday workout. And it just forces you to slow down the rest of the week, take a recovery. Like it forces me to be like, oh, my legs are a little beat up today. I'm going to make sure I recover by Saturday. And then I do. And I actually went back and, I've kept a running log. I've written down every single run I've done since 2000. So I'm on my 19th year of running logs. I have them all. It's true. Yeah. I have every workout, every run I've ever done written down. And it's not always elaborate, but I've gone back in training and I've looked at like, how do I feel on a Saturday? That's all I care about. How do I feel on a Saturday? I don't give a shit how I felt at any other point in the week. And it is amazing how I will blow myself up on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday with like an OCR type workout, like transitional running. And I am shot. My Wednesday, legs felt like trash, hated the run. Thursday, bike today because I'm trash. Friday, legs still sluggish. Saturday, felt amazing. Haven't felt this good in weeks. Pounded it out, floated. It's like, it's a weird thing, the body, something with like, even like the metabolic stimulation and like something about it just works. I don't know what it is, but it works. And it's almost clockwork through my logs, like over the last few years since you kind of taught me this initially. Like I've had some of my best races and workouts the week after that Saturday after I've just crushed myself on a Tuesday doing something like that. And I don't know what the reason is. I can't really point the for sure finger to it, but they're pretty consistent.
I did that work. I did 3 rounds of it before the 50K I ran.
Oh,
I knew like it has no bearing, because that's the point. You don't need any bearing on your race fitness. You don't gain fitness in 4 days, unless it's your first week working out.
Right.
Like nothing you do on Tuesday will positively impact your fitness by Saturday. So all you can do is show up confident.
Yeah.
For me, that's my confidence workout. I know that if during rep number 2 and rep number 3, I can keep my hand on the flame when I have just pure oxygen debt screaming all the way down my arms and down my legs, my stomach's churning, I know I'm ready to attack a race. And I know it won't hurt this intensely. So before that 50K, I knew I've never run 31 miles. I've never run farther than 22 miles. There's going to be a lot of unknowns there. I know it will never get intense. It'll be very intensely dull in the ache.
And how long did you feel relaxed for in that race before you started to have to dig in?
I felt relaxed through 19.
That's you can't ask for much more than that.
I was hoping to get
in a trail race in particular.
Yeah, I was hoping to get 15, and I got 19 relaxed, and it never got intense like the workout, and as a result, like my ability to handle dull was a little better. Like that dull ache, it's to me, it's more dangerous than the sharp ache and the sharp burn, because sharp ache and sharp burn can make you quit instantly.
Yeah.
Like, suddenly it's there and like, okay, I got to bear down, where that dull ache sneaks up on you and suddenly you realize, oh man, I might not have been working hard for the last 10 minutes. Or like, I just slowly lost my desire to push anything. And so I feel like coming off of OCR 400s, I was ready to go out there and embrace whatever kind of hurt was waiting.
Yeah, it worked. You had a good race. That was a big race for you.
It was a very good race for me.
Yeah.
I learned a lot out there, and I definitely learned that OCR toughness transfers to other venues.
It does. You know, the other thing that I've noticed, the transitional running or compromise running, my first race ever was in Chicago. You weren't there. I don't know why you weren't there. In 2016. And I was the strongest athlete. I was like coming off my bodybuilding type lifting days. And I hit the bucket carry with Mike Ferguson and Brian Gowiski.
I was actually there watching. I watched.
You were? Okay. And Killian maybe had 20 seconds on us at this point. It was a sprint. And we hit the bucket carry. I had done no transitional running at all. Mm-hmm. And I'm stronger than those guys. I was way stronger then than I am now. I would have crushed them in any strength, anything. One, by the time we got to the end of the bucket carry, they had 15 seconds on me, Mike and Brian. And two, when we started running after that, they just left me like I was a pathetic joke. Like, I know where I started. Now I get the bucket carry, I move well with it, and then I run fast as shit. As soon as I drop it off, I run faster probably than I even went into the bucket, because it almost was a chance to recharge. Whereas before I started this, that ruined my race. I got disconnected, I lost them, and I ended up, a minute behind.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. Like, you need to do that sort of running. It works. It for sure works. It had nothing to do with my strength even at the time. It just purely had to do with my ability to do both.
Yep.
And get in and out.
You have the ability to access a higher percentage of both skills after you practice that.
Yeah.
But I think like 2 weeks and you're instantly better.
Mm-hmm.
You do that workout 3 times over the course of 2 weeks and you are better. You are a markedly different athlete on the course. I had to do this on walls. When I first got into OCR, like Hobie Call was my learning curve. So the first race I did, I screwed up over the top of the first over under through. I didn't know there was an under portion. I hurdled all
right,
sections.
Of course you did.
I had to go back, and by the time I got done with that, everyone was out of sight. So I didn't learn anything about sport. I just learned how to hurt for 40 minutes that day. Yeah. The next race I went out and I stuck with Hobie for probably 1,000 meters. And I learned about going over under through, and I learned how to do a
barbell. It's a tricky obstacle. That's a tricky one. Very confusing.
Well, it's tricky when the person you're doing it accelerates through every phase of it without losing any effort. And you have to think your way through each one and muscle your way through. And then the next race, I got to him all the way through a cargo net. And then he left me there. And the next one I got through 7 and 8 foot walls. And I had to do these workouts for each one of those, where I'd run 400s or 600s, where I'd run 200 meters hard, go over a wall 3 times, and then run my remaining 400 just to teach myself how to get into a wall and run out of it. And that was my first year, was spent, all right, I made it 8 minutes with Hobie last time. I'm going to make it a full 2 miles today. And then I get mile and a half in, and we'd hit something I don't know, an Atlas carry or a rope climb. And I'd watch him use a technique that was better and accelerate out of it. And I couldn't. Mm-hmm. So these workouts are all based around me chasing Hobie for a year, trying to figure out how do you get in and out of things like that.
And he was training that way too, I believe. And he always has. Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I just noticed a big difference. It made a huge difference. That bucket carry, for example, that I talked about was and then after switching my training, that's a minute difference in a race off of in a sprint in a bucket carry. That's crazy that something like that can affect you that much. So do your transitional running, folks. Do it. Sure.
So this is an aside, but I went back and I watched the West Virginia race several times in the last couple of weeks as I've been still having to do more bike work than I'd like to and treadmill work daily that I don't want to do. And it's crazy how still in this sport there are these gaps appearing out of nowhere in races. The swim is a bit of an anomaly, but people had entire minute swings in the swim.
More than that, even.
Yeah. Yeah, but like across the board in the top 10, there was like a pretty consistent 40 to 80 second swing and stuff, which is crazy. But then in, what was it, the log carry, you had to go down into the water. There were 28-second swings on that. Just people getting in, picking it up, and then how they entered and exited the water was really interesting. Some people like hopped and skipped through, and some people walked all the way through the shallows. And that was, boom, 15 seconds.
Yeah, some trying to hide me run, depend,
Yeah, think of the work you would have to do to outrun me over 800 meters by 15 seconds.
So much.
And yet someone took it on a 200-meter carry.
And probably gave the same effort as the guy who ran 15 seconds slower. Yeah.
Probably the same effort, and then came out of it a little pumped up like, I just dropped someone.
Totally, man.
So those transitions, no matter how good the sport's getting, still matter.
Yep.
They really do. All right. So third thing that people always ask me. Third thing is and this kind of piggybacks off the first one, what should I be doing in my last week before a race? Last 2 weeks, how far out should I start tapering? And my stock answer is the longer the build, the longer the taper. Like put 6 months into it and you have like hit a peak volume that's very high and you've held it for a while and you're beat up, you might need a 2-week come down.
Yep.
But you're doing an OCR style season where you're racing 14 times in a year and you're just hitting 2 and 3 week training blocks in between. You might need 2 or 3 days of a come down.
Yep. I'm taking 3 weeks before Tahoe, for example.
Yeah. I think that you have deserved 3 weeks because you've earned it.
I've put in the time and it needs to pay off. So yeah, but I agree with what you say there. And I think the week of a race, like, the old hay is in the barn principle is 100% true. Physiologically, nothing's changing in that last week. Even if you sat on your butt, like your VO2 max is still where it was. Everything is still going to hold. It's more about just keeping your body awake and ready for the work instead of it shocking the system too much. But the week of a race, I always like to do a workout where I'm running faster than my race pace is going to be so that my race feels perspectively easier, so to speak. So I will always do speed work. I'll probably dial back the volume, maybe increase the rest a little bit. But something that is a little uncomfortable and a little uncomfortably fast, but maybe not like a ton of mileage with it. And I usually like to do that on Tuesday or Wednesday. If I'm not doing a compromised running workout that week, it depends what the race is coming up. But and then I think a 2-week taper for sure. If it's an A race and it's a beast, if it's the longer the distance too, like you be surprised like how long our bodies take to recover. And I'm learning that lesson this year myself. I've had some great training and then I've had some awful week or two periods where my body just is gone and it catches up with you. And like that fitness isn't going to leave. Like the fitness you've earned isn't going to leave. You need to taper sooner than you think. And I think like whether that means just instead of running one day, 2 weeks out, you bike that day instead. And then the week leading up to the race, you take an extra day off of nothing or something like that. But that's my 2 cents. Interval work that's faster than race pace and back it off earlier than you think you need to.
So I'm 50% like identical to you, where my quality day is going to mimic yours. I firmly believe that I need to run faster than a race pace my last quality session before a race. I think there's 2 things. One, I need to feel that burn. I need to know that no matter what happens, I can do this. But the second is that I found that quality workouts hurt. No matter what you're doing, they're uncomfortable. But if I'm trying to hit race pace, and this is more true for long races, beast races, marathon type stuff, if I'm trying to click in to race pace and just feel confident in my ability to do it, that erodes my confidence when I do it as like a last workout. Like if like a week out, I'm just easy 6 miles. If let's say it was a marathon, 6 miles at marathon pace, just a week out. Like I've already done my last big one. This is just like a tune-up. 6 miles at marathon pace isn't comfortable And it starts to like give me all these like warning bells going off. Like, can I really do this for 20 more miles than this? No, I can't.
I've done it. The same thing. And I ended up feeling like a little flat and like, oh shit, now what? Like, what's going to happen?
No adrenaline for that workout. You have no people around you, and you know you're supposed to be tapering, and that this is your biggest fitness. You should feel the best right now, but you kind of feel crappy always during a taper. And so I just avoid it. Like my thing is I just need to feel mentally good this week. And so whatever that takes. So I go faster than race pace, knowing, all right, that's supposed to hurt. Okay, it's fine that I'm hurting. I get to feel tough. It's great. And I don't have to start confronting the fact that race pace is going to not be fun on race day.
Right.
So that's why I avoid it totally. So I either do OCR 400s, and another one I really like to do is just 60 seconds hard, 60 seconds easy for 8 to 10 rounds.
Yeah. My staple is either 4s and 2s or 8s and 4s.
Yeah.
With varied rest in between, but not a lot of volume. Yeah. Always quicker. I like always quicker. That's just, and if you have like something I've been experimenting with, and I think it's working all right, is like if you have a mountain race that weekend, the school of thought is, well, leave my climbing legs alone or wake them up a little bit. And I've been doing both. And I think I might respond better to waking them up a little bit. So that might mean do 8 by 60 second hill repeats just to make sure you're neuromuscularly ready for that sort of effort, because flat doesn't translate to hill running. We all know that, but hill running translates to flat running a little better. So I've been kind of playing with that. And I think before Tahoe, I'm going to take that approach, which is going to be short, harder than race effort, hill repeats, just to get the body. So prospectively that climbing will feel easier. So I'm playing with that. I think it can go either way, but I don't think climbing short and hard the week of a race is detrimental. I think it can help you. Descending would be an idiotic move, hard the week of a race. But
that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yep.
I don't believe speed work hurts you leading up to a race if you don't take damage.
Correct.
You can burn and feel nauseous in a workout without taking damage just by going fast, a couple of small reps. Downhill, you take damage. And uphill grinding, you can really fatigue your hips.
Yep.
I think we both found this. Like we a month or two ago, we went out and did back-to-back hill workouts on a Wisconsin quote unquote mountain.
Hey, that's a big mountain for us.
It was. And for us, we got almost 3,000 feet on Friday night. We did 90 minutes of work Friday night, and we came in a little fatigued intentionally. And then Saturday morning got up and did a big workout, and we were able to climb on tired legs. I think you can climb on tired legs, but you don't want to do anything on damaged legs. And downhill is just so I try to leave my last big downhill workout at least 11 days out. But if I'm saying big, it's got to be 2 to 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
Big, like where I'm creaky for days.
Well, this weekend is 3 weeks out from Tahoe, and my long run, I'll go 3 hours tomorrow. And I've done some intense incline work this week. So I'm going to climb easy, steady, and I'm not leaving a downhill behind tomorrow. I am going to cause as much muscle damage as I can tomorrow in my long run. And that will be the last time I do any extended eccentric downhill loading. I'll do some shorter stuff probably next weekend, but nothing with that volume, because I think like it lingers way too long. And you have a story because last year you did Killington 2 weeks out from Tahoe. And what happened?
It is exactly what you said. I recovered for like mentally and physically. I recovered, and then I got to the race and like I wasn't physically recovered. I felt good on the first climb. We got to the flats. I felt a little sluggish at the top. As soon as we got out of the swim, we ran for a while. I nailed the double sandbag. I thought, all right, I'm turning this thing around. And the second we started running downhill, my legs felt how they felt on the last downhill of Killington. Like they hadn't recovered. It felt like I had like a dead leg, a Charlie horse in both quads. In 2 weeks hadn't been enough to take 5,000 feet of descending out of my quads. It wasn't enough. 3 weeks, I think, is your safe zone.
It is. And 2 weeks might even be too close. And I don't think, it'd be way more of a detriment to downhill run too hard close to your race versus uphill run close to your race. Like the last thing you want to do is be doing hard downhill running with any sort of volume within a week and a half of your race. That's my opinion too.
So I'm doing the exact same thing as you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, my plan is to get 7.5 to 8 miles worth of hard downhill work.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah.
A minimum of 15 to 16 total miles since I have to get to the top of the hill each time, unfortunately. But yeah, it's to take more than one lap of Tahoe's worth of downhill.
Yep.
And in the past, there's been 5 to 5.5 miles of descent in Tahoe in one lap. And I guess one year they had 7 miles, but that was that like 16 mile a year.
That was 17.3 miles or something.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I need to take more than one lap worth of descending tomorrow. So I'm going to try to hit 7.5 to 8 miles of descent with, like you said, no downhill left behind. Every downhill step with purpose.
Brakken, why aren't we getting together for this workout?
Well, we talked about it, Kirk, and we live too far apart.
Well, you're 3 hours and 49 minutes away from me for this Saturday morning workout, and maybe I'll get up at 1:30 in the morning, make the trip. We can get this done. I'll just slam my Endure Elite, Perform Elite. I'll take a couple extra scoops. We'll get it done. I'm blind to you. I'm not coming. Okay.
Well, Kirk and I had planned to meet up for this workout, but he would have to come the night before and stay over. And I'm not able to do that. Ayla got some bad news this week. Her bone moved 2 more degrees out. So there's no healing yet. So she's still has a couple more weeks in the hip cast, and we have to keep her super immobile still. So I'm still not going like nights away. She's still got to be carried everywhere.
And geez.
So I still have to do morning out, morning back type deal.
Yeah, I understand.
So, but because of that, like I still haven't bought Tahoe flights because
just in case you don't know what's happening.
Yeah, we have to wait till next Tuesday now. We take the next x-ray because if she has surgery, I'm just not going because it's going to be like big incision, cut the leg open, pins, maybe plate, and then back into the hip cast for 6 weeks or whatever.
Poor kid and poor you.
Yeah, we'll see. So hopefully next Tuesday they say, okay, so it can't be more than 10-degree separation from the bone.
And it's 2 right now?
Happened, it was at 5.
Oh.
And after the first 8 days, it was still at 5. And then this Wednesday, it was at 7. So it had moved 2 more. So we still have 3 degrees of play in there that we don't want to use up. But we'll find out.
You got to be like, Ayla, don't move for the next 2 weeks. Like you sit there and you do not move.
That's the thing. We haven't moved. She has been so incredibly good about this. Apparently, when you have your 2 bones in your leg and you break 1, worse than breaking 2.
Why?
Because if the fibula breaks and the tibia does not, the tibia puts pressure against the bone. That actually forces the fibula out. But if they both break, there's no pressure. So you would think it'd be more stable width, but there's apparently this phenomenon where one healthy bone compromises the other one's attachment down at the ankle.
I can make sense out of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're a smart man.
Thank you.
So anyways, the piece that I wouldn't say I don't agree with you, but I follow differently than you about tapering. Yeah. Is that I believe in less taper is needed than more for most people. Okay. And I think you're the outlier because you just go deeper into the well with big workouts than most people on this planet do. And I don't think that's hyperbole. I think that's true. Like how many 3+ hour, 5,000 foot workouts did you have leading up to West Virginia? If the answer is
3 weekends in a row,
the answer is more than one. You're doing more than most people in this world are.
Yeah, I need to recover. Yeah,
yeah, and so I think we need more recovery than we expect off of big workouts, and less recovery than we expect off of big volume.
Yes, I agree with that. 100%.
I believe in keeping volume up higher than you would typically see from a marathon. Because I always come back to marathons because that's your stereotypical build taper thing. Yep. I look to some of the top marathon groups right now in the world, and they're not backing off a ton before their big races. And I found through trial and error that I like that more. But I need to back off of my biggest workouts. So 3 weeks. We have the same drop dead zone. 3 weeks out is our last monster workout. And then I can keep volume after that, but I have to back off of the workout.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. I'll probably still run the same amount of days and do all that. Especially for me, if I get past 2 hours and I'm still pushing from that 2 to 3 hour mark, like, hey, I'm working into this. My heart rate is staying up. That's when I take some long-term damage. It seems for whatever reason.
I think do more of that than a lot of people do. And realistically, that's racing.
Yeah,
know?
yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, if you talked about it in terms of equivalent efforts, that's kind of like running a marathon 3 straight weekends.
I know, stupid.
I was a little silly.
It'll pay off. It didn't pay off in West Virginia. I didn't feel that. I felt a little fatigued there, but I think it won't tell. So
No, I think that now that's in the bank, so you're good for that.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got through my 3 biggest questions. Do you have workouts you want to get out there that you have people ask you about a lot?
Things that people ask me about.
I have one more to do, but I didn't know if you had something first.
You're saying general questions, so to speak?
Yeah, workout questions or any workouts you just feel like people got to know about this workout.
Good question. Not in particular. I would just say if I've learned anything, I never did any hill work until 2016, and I could almost stretch it to 2017 when I got into this sport. And like, people do want to stay sharp and they want to do their intervals, and I like and understand that. That's how I was. But like, hill running translates to flat running. If you work on hill efforts and hill repeats and shorter stuff on the hills, you will become a faster flat runner. And I can like put my stamp of approval on that. And so like, if you're questioning anything, like, more elevation gain is probably your best friend as far as getting better at this sport than avoiding it. So instead of going to, like, if you are a flatlander and you don't go to the mountains very often or you don't have them, instead of doing your track Tuesday every Tuesday, which a lot of guys still prescribe to, by the way, like, maybe you just decide to go to your local ski hill on Tuesday every other week instead and hit hard efforts that way. I think you're going to see a bigger return on investment there. I know I have, without question. I didn't even hit it. Like, when you had me do like a mile time trial a couple years ago. And I was just going to tell the story. Oh, you were?
I was just actually trying to pull it up because I'm pretty sure of the stats of it. But I was going to say, I always preached it. Yeah. But I didn't, like, you were the example that confirmed it to myself that I hadn't led anyone astray because of your mile time trial you ran off uphill work.
All I did, I don't think I touched anything faster than 5-minute pace, maybe 5:15 pace in training leading up if I was doing flat work. Mm-hmm. And I was doing incline intervals, and I was just kind of coming around to it, really. Like,
you just got your Nordic track, right?
Yeah, I got my Nordic track incline trainer and all that, and you had a 5K time trial on my plan, or a 5K. It was like testing week or something. And off of incline running, I think earlier in the season, I'd run like 16 in my 5K, and I ran like 4:40 something in my mile. And I was doing less fast work, but more hill work. And my 5K went from 15:16 to 15:41. And my mile
16.
went down.
I just want to clarify that.
16:16 to 15:41. I took over 30 seconds off of that, and I was doing less speed work. And I went down to 4:31 in the mile. And that one hurt less than my 4:40 something. And I had not touched a track. I was putting in the time going up, and I felt so powerful and efficient flat running. It was incredible. Like, it translates. In fact, it makes you better. Like, hit your inclines. Even if you're only racing flat races, do your hill work.
Yeah, it is. It's I'll never forget that 4:31. You posted that, and I was just like, geez, Kirk, man, uphill really does translate. And I had the same thing before the week out from my 50K. I ran a road mile and I ran 4:25. Off nothing but volume training and hill work. Mm-hmm. And I'll add one piece to that is that downhills are like overspeed training, because the only pace I ever touched faster than 5:25 pace during that entire training, 9 weeks of training, was downhill. And we were running, what did you say? You looked down at one point and you were running 4 flat pace down the hill?
When we did our last workout together at the ski hill, I saw 4:05 pace on 2 of the descents. Yeah.
And so we were running significantly faster than what we kind of than the speed work we were doing. It didn't feel like running 200s or 300s or 400s, but that downhill speed plus the uphill power definitely translates.
Oh yeah, we got some downhills like here, even if my ski hill may not be, it's small but mighty, I can get a 1/4 mile descent on the service road. And I think the last time I did a hard descent effort, I ran my fastest 1/4 according to my watch, and it was 54 seconds.
Yeah.
Going downhill. What is that, like 340 pace or something stupid?
Yeah.
Like, but that turnover can like your body will learn how to turn its legs over.
Yep.
Like, you're going to get all the great benefits going up, and then on 1 or 2 of your descents, let her rip, man. Like, your body will adjust. That's an adaptation.
Absolutely, it will.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So last piece I want to touch upon is, you kind of talked about that, but people always say, hey, you live in Wisconsin. You don't have real mountains. How do you do uphill work without a mountain? How do you prep for mountains without it? And I would say, I'm not the best example because I'm not the strongest climber in the world. But like, I climbed the pants off myself from 2015 and 2014. Like, I'm in a different class of uphill running than what I used to be. And part of it is treadmill work. You just can't get around it. But the other half is that I love dragging things up a hill. I think if you drag something up a hill, there's this 1/4 mile hill that we moved. I don't have that hill anymore, but I use that hill so many times. My Strava's littered with it, but 1/4 mile up at 11% grade. And if I drag a tire up it, it feels like 30%.
Mm-hmm. And the power you're having to use with each step is just creating, power for it's gonna improve your uphill running.
No power translates, and you have to lean into the drag, which then takes your foot from this to this, and it puts the stress on your Achilles and your calves like you're going up 30%.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful.
Well, you do the tire drag with like, are you harnessed or no?
I have a harness that I bought. Yeah. Now I used to just do it holding with my grip, and then it would be a grip workout too. But I found that for like 90-minute sessions, I just couldn't hold on to a rope that long. I have both, and I will be doing some sort of plate drag workout in the 2 weeks leading into Tahoe, because it simulates. It's almost like if you don't have the degree of incline you need, it's a way to make up for it. Yep. Right. I mean, you can drag I'll drag a 45-pound plate on a battle rope on flat ground. And it feels like I'm running a 20% grade. Yep. Because of the forward lean. So like there's some truth to that for sure. Yeah. What I do is I take this car tire and I just put a little plywood board at the bottom, and then I can put sandbags on top of it. Oh yeah. Sandbags into that, and I pull, and then I remove off if it's getting too heavy as I go. And then I also have a sandbag that I can throw on and run with if I need to. But yeah, pulling things uphill, treadmill work, and then if all else fails, find the tallest building you can find and run up and down. That's what I hear. Let's talk one more thing, because I'm curious about this. So I got my 5-minute warning. You got a 5-minute warning. That's fair. So I think the biggest thing people like second guess, and I still play with this, I think we all do, like the 3 days leading up to your race, like the final moments. Are you doing anything for recovery? What do those days look like? Do they vary? Do you keep consistent? Do you have a philosophy you prescribe to? Yeah, I just don't break my routines. Keep your routine. Before a big Saturday workout, I do my biggest workout Saturdays. Like you said, all we care about is feeling good for Saturdays. All I care about. So I test that all out. I eat the way I would eat before a big Saturday workout, but maybe a little more carefully. And I work out the way I'd work out before a big Saturday, but a little more carefully. Like Friday, I'll probably cut an extra 30% off my volume of what I'd normally do. Usually a day before a workout. Maybe I cut more than that. I like to do a slightly longer run the day before a quality day. So I'll do 8 to 10 on Friday before a Saturday workout. Day before a race, I'm going to do 3 or 4 times. If it's an important race. I've done 12 before a stadium race that I didn't care about before. And you did well. Didn't you feel good and dominate? I felt sluggish for like 400 meters, and then I just blew people out of the water. Yeah, you won that day. I remember you told me that. Yeah. Yeah. So like it works. And because you're used to it, like we all have great workouts all throughout our training block without tapering. So our body's clearly ready to work out with some amount of fatigue just amongst our routine that we normally keep. So I keep my routine. I just dial back slightly. Like I said, Tuesdays, I'll go down to 3 rounds instead of 4. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll do all my normal recovery practices. I'll just run a little less volume, but I don't get anything crazy. I keep it simple.
Like the 20% rule of race week, or you cut down volume by 20% or something. And then
sometimes I'll only do it Friday. Sometimes I'll do it Thursday, Friday, because I don't want to go stir crazy.
Yeah.
I don't want to be
right too. Yeah.
I'm tapering. I just want to be thinking I'm sharp and I'm getting ready. I'm ready to race.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. Now before Tahoe, like I'm running an ultra. If I go out there, if Ayla is ready, I'm going to back off more than usual. I'm going to start like 13 days out, backing off. And I've decided that's about 11 to 13 days, about what I need based on this build I'm doing. But yeah, my last 3 days are going to be just like turn the engine on. Good. It starts. Okay.
Right. I think before the longer races, if you're out there for 2 or more hours, like taking a Thursday off or at least a non-impact day, you may feel a little sluggish off the start of your Saturday morning race, but it's not a sprint. If it's a sprint, I will probably run Thursday and for sure and Friday, because I just want to keep everything firing and ready because it's going to be faster, but you can work.
You can afford an off minute in a sprint. In a 3-hour race, you can build.
Right. So I think taking a little, air of caution in a longer race, but shorter races.
Last question. Lisa's going to kill me, but whatever, we're going over.
Okay.
Will you warm up running before a 3-hour race?
Will I warm up?
Yeah. Are you going to do a typical warm up, or are you going to do a highly modified warm up before a 3-hour race? Will you run it all?
Yeah, I'll do a typical warm up. I like to overdress. If it's a longer or any race, so I'll have a little too much on. I might not work very hard or move very fast, but I want to be sweating underneath. I don't really care how far I run. I want to get one little climb in somewhere just to make sure my body like knows what it's about to get itself into. Maybe a 30-second push going up one time, and that's
an ultra. Like I'm
grappling. I would. You got to do something.
I might only do dynamic in a stride or two.
That's fine. I mean, less time on feet that's just going to catch up with you. If I was doing an ultra crash, you're going to be out there for 6 hours.
I can walk the first climb as my warm up. Like,
that's true. That's true. You got to do something. But maybe I don't some
warm up. Or like, will I run before as my warm up? Or
you will, of course you will. Or like jog around, then hit your dynamic, and then jog a little bit, hit another dynamic movement. You're going to do that. Do that. Don't go pulling your hammy that's been finicky.
How would you pull a hammy with a 60-minute climb?
No, you're going to pull that thing if you don't warm up properly, Brakken.
No, I'm going to warm up. I'm just before the 50K, I ran from the car to the start line, which was like 80 meters. Outside of that, I did like 20 minutes of dynamic warm up, but I did 80 meters of running before the race started because I planned to start out at 138 beats per minute.
Right. I think that as long as you make sure the range of motion and everything is.
Oh yeah. My range of motion is going to be sublime.
Then you're good to go. You're good to go.
All right, Kirk. Well, I feel like we have gone on long enough. People are going to have their questions. So before we just start talking about stuff that doesn't apply to what the majority of the sport wants, I'm going to call it.
Sounds great.
Feed them with our 4 types of workouts we talked about. And we're going to get a lot of listener questions off this one. And we might have to do a part 2 follow-up.
That's cool. That sounds great.
Excellent. So I'm not going to be seeing you tomorrow morning for our workout.
Sorry about that.
But we're going to be doing the same workout at the same time, probably.
What time are you starting?
I'm going to start earlier than you. I know that.
Ooh, I'll probably start at 7:30.
I'm starting at ultra start time, so 6 a.m.
What is that here, though? We're an hour late, 2 hours later.
I'm starting at 6 a.m.
8 a.m. here, 6 a.m. there, Brakken.
I'm starting at the time of when I would wake up there, do my breakfast routine, get to the start line. So
okay, that's fair. I'm going to sleep as long as I possibly can because it's not supposed to be hot tomorrow. And then I got an hour drive to the ski hill, huh?
I'm doing one thing you're not tomorrow.
Which is what?
I'm adding 2 lake swims to my workout.
You are?
Yep.
Oh, you got Devil's Lake. I don't have anything where I'm at.
Yeah, I got to test out the drainage of the shoes I plan on wearing, and I'm really working on whether I'm going to use side stroke or not during this swim.
What are you wearing for shoes?
The Evo Speed Goats.
Oh.
I like them.
I've heard good things about those.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're designed to drain a little better, so I'm thinking that might be perfect.
Yeah, I would probably go with something like that if I was doing an ultra. I think I'll go with my VJ Maxes.
Yeah.
But 2 laps, I'd
be wearing the Max if it was 1 lap.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. I'm excited to do the second part of this and excited to post a little bit more vertical than you tomorrow.
Good luck, loser.
We'll see you, man.
All right, see ya.
Visit ObstacleDominator.com for show notes, training, and racing resources. And leave your question for Benny and Brakken.